It is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025, and today we've got a pretty baseline video. Updated Heisman predictions, and a game preview. Cincinnati and Utah facing off in Salt Lake City this weekend. A top 25 matchup. Game day is going to be there. To me, it was a no-brainer. I predicted it on Saturday. I said if these two teams win today, I think game day goes there. Ended up working out. So we're going to preview that game, talk about everything there is to talk about for it. And yeah, pretty short, quick video today. But nonetheless, if you're new around here, please like, subscribe, comment down below. We do content every day here, and we've got some big plans this coming weekend. We've got two back-to-back live shows Saturday, Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. You can make sure you tune into those. But we've got a big week of content coming up as well, so I'm excited for that, and looking forward to carrying it forward. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and get into today's show. And it's going to go ahead and start down here with the Heisman picks, who I would vote for Heisman through week 9. And the new leader, new front runner, Ty Simpson. And all the things that happened last week, I don't blame Ty Simpson for the struggles Alabama had. In saying that, they had at one point 15 rushing yards early in the fourth quarter, 15 rushing yards for the entire game. The struggles are not on Ty Simpson. It was on this team not getting the job done, not performing, not doing what needed to be done down the stretch of the game. Eventually, they picked it up, and Ty Simpson led them down the field multiple times for touchdowns. But my blame doesn't lie on him. I think he is by far the Heisman frontrunner right now. There's not really anybody close. Fernando Mendoza has kept close, but Indiana's going to need some things to go their way the rest of the way for Mendoza to, I think, get himself back into that conversation. I think I have his name spelled wrong, too. That's just embarrassing. But Fernando Mendoza in second for me. I think that he is still clearly number 2. I think 1 and 2 are very clear, and then everything else kind of rotates and switches based on the weeks ahead. Marcel Reed at 3. I think he's kind of solidifying himself as a guy that's going to be in New York. I think he continues to prove that what he's able to do both on the ground, through the air. He's got some really great targets around him as well. I just think Marcel Reed's starting to stand out, especially the more Texas A&M wins football games. He's going to continue to rise in this conversation. Number 4 and 5 was interesting to me because obviously everybody's very big on Diego Pavia, and he's getting a lot of attention because Vandy's getting a lot of attention. But Haynes King, I think, is getting not enough attention, to be completely honest. What he's doing is, I think, comparable with what we've seen from Diego Pavia to this point. Haynes King has more rushing yards, is putting more production up on the ground, is still competing through the air. The one thing he doesn't have that Pavia does is just the passing touchdowns, but he makes up for that by what he's done on the ground. Whereas Pavia has the production through the air, but doesn't quite match the production on the ground. It's a very interesting game here. And when I looked at these two guys themselves, the one thing that stuck out to me, the one thing that I truly decided that I was going to go Haynes King over Diego Pavia was this. Do we believe that without Haynes King, Georgia Tech is undefeated? I think the answer should resounding be no. And I'm not talking about other quarterbacks coming in and playing for Georgia Tech. I'm talking about Haynes King on this roster or not on this roster as it stands. Is Georgia Tech 8-0? I think the answer is an obvious no. There's something about what Haynes King is able to do that I don't think there's another player on the roster. There's not many players in the country that could replicate what he's doing and what he has to do in order for this team to win. Does that mean I think Georgia Tech's a national championship contender? No, because I think that at some point it's going to get slowed down. But for right now, what he's doing, what this team is doing, it all really falls on the shoulders of number 10. That is where, excuse the alarm, but that is where Georgia Tech and Haynes King stand out above Diego Pavia, who is doing a great job, but I think that this offense could probably run similar without. And the other thing noted is that, you know, Diego Pavia this past weekend, it really wasn't on him on why they won this game. A lot of it came down to big plays and the defense making the plays to make stops. I think that answered another question for me over the weekend. But certainly a very interesting prospect to have. And I think there's still some guys being not talked about as much. And now Julian Sand is a guy that I think is just not impressing everybody in the way that I think he should be. To me, this Ohio State team would go the same with or without Julian Sand. I don't really think that the performance is outstanding and deserving of most outstanding player. Not this year. You look elsewhere. Justice Haynes has been great, but he's missed a couple of games. He's still the fourth leading rusher in college football, so impressive numbers. But we'll see kind of where that lands. Mario Craver is the leading receiver for Texas A&M, but honestly, everybody's stepping up and producing. Craver doesn't have the touchdown numbers to really be in the conversation. And then Brennan Sorsby. Let's talk about Brennan Sorsby. And in doing so, let's go ahead and talk about this game. Brennan Sorsby, for me, enters the Heisman race with a solid day here and a win. If Cincinnati wins this game, Brennan Sorsby has a good day. He's already got 20 touchdowns and 1 pick. He's added 7 touchdowns on the ground. He's over 400 yards rushing, 1,800 passing yards. Brennan Sorsby has a Heisman campaign on the table already. What I need is one big road win. Here's the problem we have for Cincinnati. You see it on the bottom of the screen. Keys to the game, really not a key. It's a stat that both these teams have to get over. Cincy is 4-7 since joining the Big 12 when outside of the Eastern time zone. That's concerning, okay? But they've done better this year. They've done better the last couple of years. As a matter of fact, they are, let me see here. I wrote it down. They are 2-1 this year when outside the Eastern time zone. Their only loss was in Kansas City when they faced Nebraska in week 1. In Big 12 play, they are 2-0. With wins over Oklahoma State and either Arizona or Kansas. Forgive me. I think it's Kansas. But this Cincinnati team looks the part of a playoff contender, a Big 12 championship contender. They get better week in and week out, and they've played really well defensively lately. One thing that strikes me as odd when I was looking through this thing is how little production they've had from a guy in Dante Corleone, but how much production has been picked up from other guys. Now, they're not quite doing everything you'd expect defensively. Jake Golda is their leading player on defense, so we expected that. But the defensive line as a whole is not really creating the production and the havoc in the backfield. They've only got 17 sacks on the year. Not really creating a lot of pressure, but they're doing a great job in coverage, and it's led by a guy in Matthew McDoom who's got the only interception for this team. But this team is just doing a great job of keeping things in front of them and slowing offenses down. What they did last week against Baylor was extremely impressive, and I think there's a chance they could do it again this week. The question remains, who plays at quarterback? Is it Devin Dampier? Is it, I shut this thing, and I shouldn't have. Because I'm looking for one thing specific here. Bird Ficklin. I was trying to make sure I had the right name. I knew it was Bird something. Bird Ficklin started last week. Will he start again? Can he be the leader that he was last week? 278 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. Great. That was a game against Colorado. Can he do that again against this Cincinnati defense if he's the one that's called upon? Devin Dampier was available, but became an emergency situation only last week against Colorado. Really didn't matter, but this week, can he be the leader? Can he step up? Can he play for this Utah offense? When you look at Cincinnati, it's not really, they're not killing you with big plays. They're not killing you with dazzling offensive performances. They're doing it by just being consistent. They are running the ball very well, about 1,200 yards so far on the year, or 1,500 I think it is on the year. But they're doing it with their quarterback and 2 running backs. Brennan Sorsby up there for over 400 yards. I think he's got 427 to be exact. And then you have Evan Pryor and Tawee Walker, both over 470. I think 478 and 471. Walker leads that group. But Evan Pryor leads this team in yards per carry, 7.2 yards per carry. And it's not on just a handful of carries. I mean, he's taking care of business and really breaking off bigger plays every time he touches the ball. He's a threat. Cyrus Allen leads the Big 12 in touchdown receptions with 9. While you have Caleb Goody leading the team, or leading the conference in yards per reception with 19.9 yards per catch. And that's not, again, not a small number, not a small sample size. He's breaking off bigger plays almost every time he touches the ball. The biggest thing here is that, again, can Cincinnati create turnovers? Can they create problems for this Utah offense? Can they make Utah uncomfortable at home in a night game at home? You see the stat line below as we start to talk about Utah. They are 2-5 at home versus Big 12 in conference play since they joined the Big 12 in 2024. They're 3-5 technically at home against Big 12 teams because they did play Baylor in a non-conference game last year in week 2 at home in Rice-Eccles Stadium. But in conference play, they were 0-4 last year against the Big 12 at home. This year they are 2-1 with that big loss to Texas Tech. The thing I've noticed and noted with this team is this Utah team has struggled against teams that match up with them. Cincinnati, I think, matches up with Utah. They got destroyed as the game went on against Texas Tech, and they really were handled by BYU throughout the course of that game as well. Can they do what's necessary to win this football game? I think the answer is yes. I think it's a resounding yes. They certainly can do it. But will they? And a question to be answered here. The other thing is, I think if you can slow down Jake Golday, I think that the Cincinnati defense becomes a little less problematic. Jake Golday has been the most productive player on the defense, both in the backfield, making plays in the passing game, and also really great against the run. Can they slow him down? Can they make him a little bit less of a factor? If so, that helps this Utah team do a little more. In looking at all of that, the other thing here, there's one other thing, and there's one other factor I think that really blows up these Utah numbers, specifically in pass rush and in plays in the backfield, that might be a little misleading. John Henry Daly has 13.5 tackles for loss and 9.5 sacks on the year. He is far and away, I think, leading the conference in sacks. He's leading the conference in tackles for loss, not sacks. But he's making a lot of plays in the backfield. So we think, right? So that's on the season. In Big 12 play, he's got 4.5 sacks in 5 games and 7 tackles for loss in those 5 games. Still good numbers. He's still making plays in the backfield, doing a lot, but he's not creating the problems that he did against UCLA, Cal Poly, and Wyoming. Like, he's just not in the backfield as often. If he can get back to being productive, being a bit of a force on this D-line, I think it opens up some doors. We'll see what he's able to do. He's played in every single game so far. But him paired up with Logan Fano is still a dangerous pairing nonetheless. As for this game, when you look at it, Utah's a 9.5 point favorite. That line has continued to grow. And I got to be honest with you, I see it. I get why. But I'm not buying it. I think that that's a bit outrageous, honestly, to see this line continuing to grow. This Cincinnati team's really good, and I think they're going to be able to slow down the Utah offense and keep them in check. The biggest reason I think that line continues to grow is this is a night game in Salt Lake City. This is a night game for the Utes, and when you get Rice-Eccles Stadium at night, you get a crazy, hectic environment. Cincinnati has yet to really face a hectic environment like this. They have yet to be in this kind of situation. Can they overcome it? I think the answer is going to be yes. I think they can do so simply because of a guy like Brennan Sorsby having the experience and having the time around. He's played in big environments throughout his career. He played in Indiana just a few years ago. He's been in bigger environments. You look at Evan Pryor, former Ohio State player. You look at Tawi Walker, formerly of Wisconsin. There's a handful of players on this team who have played in big moments. Joe Royer, the tight end, coming from Ohio State as well. These guys have seen big environments. Can they, as a unit, stay in their own mind, keep themselves in check, and go out and pull off the upset here? Technically an upset by Vegas odds, but not by ranking. I think the answer is yes. I think it's a resounding yes. I think Cincinnati does, in fact, pull off the upset here on Saturday. The over-under sits at 55.5. I like the under in this game. I think both these teams are going to really play kind of a chess match through the beginning and until they get they kind of get comfortable with each other. I got Cincinnati winning this game 21-14 at home or on the road, taking down Utah. The woes for Utah at home in Big 12 play continue. They'll fall to 2-6. Cincinnati jumps up to 5-7 outside the Eastern Time Zone. It's really a war of two teams that are 2-1 this year against these superstitions, if you will. Who gets it done? Let me know what you guys think. I'm excited to hear that down below because I know that there's not going to be a ton of agreement. Maybe there will be some, but really excited to hear what you guys have to say. Who would you vote for if you were voting for the Heisman at this time, at this point in the season as we enter the month of November? Let me know all that down below. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Always appreciated. It's been a really fun college football season. We look to continue it. We'll have another preview tomorrow on the slate, and it's likely going to be, it's going to be Oklahoma, Tennessee, a game that's going to likely eliminate a team from college football playoff contention. So we'll get with that one tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys again with another episode of Armchair Analysis.